All right, so we're going to jump into this deep dive, and you've given us a lot to unpack here.
Yeah.
I have to admit, this one's a bit heavier than usual.
Yeah.
We're dealing with some serious allegations and legal proceedings surrounding Conor McGregor, the UFC superstar.
Yes, the sources you've provided really detail Conor McGregor's journey.
Yeah.
Both his meteoric rise in UFC
Yeah.
and all the controversies that have kind of followed him.
It seems like everywhere he goes, there's some kind of controversy.
Yeah.
He's almost as famous for his out-of-the-ring antics as he is for his fighting prowess.
It's true.
So our mission today is to go through all these sources you've given us and try to piece together a timeline of these controversies,
Right.
focusing specifically on the allegations of assault and any other troubling behavior we find.
Yeah.
We want to understand exactly what happened, what were the legal outcomes, and maybe even try to grasp the bigger picture here.
Absolutely. We'll certainly be looking at the legal details, but it's important to keep in mind, we're not here to pass judgment on anyone.
Right.
We just want to try to give a clear and impartial view of the information that you provided.
Of course, it's all about understanding. It's not about condemning.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's start with the most recent development, the one that sent shockwaves through the entire MMA world. The civil trial in Dublin just a few days ago, where a jury found McGregor liable for sexually assaulting Nikita Hand back in 2018.
Wow.
And they awarded her a significant sum in damages.
Okay.
248,603 euros to be exact.
Yeah, this verdict has definitely sparked a lot of discussion.
It has.
It's really crucial to understand what this means legally.
For sure.
Hand accused McGregor of pinning her to a bed, choking her, and brutally raping and battering her, resulting in pretty substantial bruising.
Wow, those are incredibly serious accusations.
They are.
And as you might expect, McGregor has vehemently denied all of this, claiming that the encounter was consensual.
Yes, and this is where the legal distinctions become really interesting, because McGregor has never faced criminal charges for this incident.
Yeah.
This was a civil trial, which has a very different burden of proof than a criminal trial.
Okay, so help us understand that difference.
Sure.
Why wasn't he criminally charged if the accusations were so severe?
Well, in a criminal trial, the prosecution has to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt.
Right.
Which is an incredibly high standard.
Yeah.
But in a civil case like this one, the plaintiff, in this case Nikita Hand, only needs to prove her case by preponderance of the evidence.
Okay, so what does that mean exactly?
It means the jury just had to decide if it was more likely than not that what Hand was alleging actually happened.
Okay.
So you can kind of think of it like a scale, tipping slightly to one side.
Okay.
That's enough for a civil case. It doesn't require absolute certainty.
So even though the jury found McGregor liable, it doesn't automatically mean he's guilty of a crime, right?
Correct. A civil trial focuses on whether the defendant is responsible for causing harm to the plaintiff.
Right.
And if they're found liable, they can be ordered to pay damages. In this case, the jury determined that McGregor was responsible for causing harm to Carmen and should compensate her.
This must have been a difficult process for both McGregor and Hand.
Oh, absolutely. This verdict, regardless of his claims of innocence, has definitely impacted McGregor's public image.
Sure has.
And for Hand, it's been a long and arduous journey to seek justice.
Yeah.
It's clear this case and the outcome has deeply affected both of them.
From what I'm seeing in your sources, this 2018 incident is far from an isolated event.
Yeah.
There seems to be this pattern of accusations of assault and violence that have followed McGregor throughout his career.
That's right. The sources you provided detail multiple accusations throughout the years.
Yeah.
It kind of paints a troubling picture.
It does.
And there's also this recurring theme.
Okay.
McGregor consistently denies any wrongdoing and often reaches settlements out of court.
It's almost as if his rise to stardom has been paralleled by this darker side that keeps emerging.
Seems like it.
So let's rewind a bit.
Okay.
And go back to April 2018, just a few months before the incident with Unrin. One of your sources describes this absolutely insane incident where McGregor attacked a bus full of UFC fighters.
I remember that.
With a dolly.
Yeah.
And it was all caught on camera.
It was, the infamous bus attack. It was a really shocking display of aggression.
It was.
Even for someone known for their fiery personality.
Right.
He shattered windows, injured people, and just caused absolute chaos.
When I saw that footage, my jaw dropped.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was like something out of an action movie.
It was.
What could have possibly driven him to such an extreme?
Well, the attack was seemingly motivated by revenge.
Okay.
Apparently, McGregor was enraged after one of his teammates had a confrontation with Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Right, his biggest rival at the time.
Exactly.
So instead of addressing it directly, he decided to lash out at a whole bus full of people.
Yeah.
That seems like a wild overreaction.
It was reckless and dangerous, and the legal fallout was significant.
It was. So did he face any real consequences for that?
Well, he was arrested and faced multiple charges,
Huh?
including assault and criminal mischief.
Yeah.
But he managed to avoid jail time by accepting a plea deal.
So another instance of avoiding serious repercussions.
You could say that.
What did the plea deal involve?
Well, as part of the deal, he had to pay restitution for the damage.
Mm-hmm.
He had to perform 5 days of community service
Okay.
and attend anger management classes.
Anger management. That seems fitting given his pattern of behavior.
Yeah, it does make you wonder about the root of this aggression.
For sure.
Is it something that he struggles with outside of the ring as well?
Right.
Or is it just amplified by the nature of his profession?
That's a great question. And honestly, from what we're seeing in your sources,
Yeah.
it seems like there's a lot more to uncover.
I think so.
More incidents, more accusations, and even a history of driving offenses.
Yes. There's a lot more to explore. It seems like this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Well, let's keep digging then.
Okay.
What other incidents stand out to you from the material you've provided?
Well, there's a few that definitely warrant a closer look.
Okay.
One involves McGregor smashing a fan's phone in Miami.
Uh-huh.
Another involves an altercation in a Dublin pub.
Okay.
And there's even allegations stemming from incidents in Corsica and Ibiza.
All right, you've definitely piqued my curiosity.
Good.
Let's break down these incidents one by one and see what we can learn about the man behind the headlines.
Sounds good. Let's continue this deep dive into the complex world of Conor McGregor.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so we've established that the recent civil trial wasn't exactly the first time that Conor McGregor has been accused of assault.
Right.
It's time to delve a little deeper into some of these other incidents that you've highlighted for us.
Okay.
It seems like there's a lot to get through here. Where should we start?
Well, let's actually go back to that 2018 incident with Nikita Hand for just a moment. Because while we touched on the legal outcome,
Right.
your sources actually provide some really compelling details from the trial itself.
Yeah, I remember reading through Hand's testimony.
Yeah.
It was quite harrowing.
It was. She recounted the alleged assault in a very vivid detail, describing how she was choked, pinned down, and brutally attacked by McGregor.
Yeah.
And she testified that she was left with significant bruising and even sought medical attention the following day.
Yeah. One of your sources even mentions the paramedic who examined Hand, stating that they hadn't seen anyone so bruised in a long time.
Right.
That really paints a picture of the severity of the alleged assault.
It does. It really speaks to the level of violence that Hand alleges took place that night.
But McGregor has maintained a completely different narrative throughout all this, hasn't he?
He has, yes. Throughout this whole ordeal, he has consistently denied the accusations, insisting that the sexual encounter with Hand was entirely consensual. He even went so far as to suggest that the bruising on her body could have been caused by her swan diving into a bathtub.
That explanation seems pretty far-fetched.
Yeah, well, the jury at least didn't find it convincing.
Yeah.
They ultimately sided with Hand, finding McGregor liable for the assault and awarding her those substantial damages.
The trial also brought to light the involvement of another man who was with McGregor in Hand that night.
Right.
James Lawrence.
Yeah.
Hand had accused both McGregor and Lawrence of assault, alleging that Lawrence had sex with her without her consent.
Yes, but ultimately the jury found Lawrence not liable for the accusations brought against him.
That's right. So it's a very complex situation.
It is.
With multiple perspectives and conflicting accounts.
Definitely.
And in the end, the jury had to weigh the evidence and reach a verdict based on what they believed to be true.
Yes.
This case really highlights the complexities of situations like these.
It's...
You know, there are multiple sides to every story.
Yes.
And the truth can be incredibly elusive.
Absolutely, and it underscores the importance of due process.
For sure.
You know, everyone deserves a fair trial.
Yeah.
And the legal system, while not perfect, is designed to ensure that justice is served.
Well, let's move on to another incident that you've highlighted in your sources.
Okay.
The bus attack in 2018.
Yes.
It was such a public and brazen act of violence.
It was.
It's hard to believe that something like that actually happened.
I know. The bus attack was definitely a turning point, I think, in McGregor's public image.
Yeah.
I mean, it was captured on video, and it quickly went viral. It showcased a side of him that many found really shocking and disturbing.
For sure. Can you remind us what exactly happened? What led him to attack a bus full of people?
Okay, so the incident took place at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. McGregor, accompanied by a group of associates, stormed the building, seemingly targeting a bus carrying UFC fighters.
Right.
Including his rival at the time, Khabib Nurmagomedov.
So there was already bad blood between them.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
McGregor later claimed that the attack was retaliation for Nurmagomedov confronting one of his teammates earlier that week.
So he retaliated by attacking a bus full of people.
It was an incredibly reckless and dangerous act.
Yes.
He hurled a metal dolly through a window of the bus, shattering glass and injuring several people inside.
Yeah, I remember seeing the footage.
Yeah.
You could see the fear and the shock on the faces of those on the bus. I mean, it must have been terrifying.
It was. It was a very chaotic and frightening scene.
Yeah.
And it had serious legal consequences for McGregor.
What were the charges and what was the outcome? Did he face any jail time for this?
Well, he was arrested and charged with multiple offenses.
Yeah.
Including assault and criminal mischief.
Right.
However, as we've seen before, he managed to avoid jail time by accepting a plea deal.
Another plea deal. It seems like that's become a recurring theme here.
It does raise questions about whether he's really been held fully accountable for his actions.
Yeah.
So as part of the plea deal for the bus attack, he had to pay restitution for the damage. He had to complete 5 days of community service.
Okay.
And attend anger management classes.
Anger management seems to be a recurring recommendation.
It does.
It makes you wonder if there's a deeper issue at play here.
Right.
Something beyond just the heat of the moment,
That's a valid point. Perhaps his aggressive tendencies, so celebrated in the octagon, are something that he struggles to control outside of it.
Okay. Let's move on to another incident that you've highlighted in your sources.
Okay.
This one involves McGregor smashing a fan's phone in Miami.
Yes.
Back in March of 2019.
Yes. This incident occurred outside of a hotel in Miami.
Okay.
A fan was attempting to take a picture of McGregor, which apparently didn't sit well with him.
Okay.
He allegedly grabbed the fan's phone, smashed it on the ground, and then walked away with it.
So another outburst of aggression.
It seems so.
And again, caught on camera.
Yeah, there does seem to be a bit of a pattern emerging here.
There does.
So McGregor was arrested and charged with strong-arm robbery and criminal mischief for the incident.
Okay.
However, as we've seen before, he was able to avoid a trial by settling a civil lawsuit with the victim.
It's interesting how often these cases seem to be resolved outside of court.
Yeah.
Do you think that his wealth and his celebrity status play a role in that at all?
It's certainly possible.
Okay.
I mean, settling out of court can be a way for both parties to avoid a lengthy and potentially messy public trial.
Yeah.
It's a very common practice in these types of situations.
But it also leaves some people questioning whether justice was truly served,
That's a valid concern.
Yeah.
It can create this perception that wealthy individuals can simply buy their way out of trouble.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to yet another incident from your sources.
Okay.
The August 2019 altercation in a Dublin pub.
Right.
This one involved McGregor punching a man who reportedly refused a shot of his whiskey.
Yes. This incident took place at a pub in Dublin. And according to reports, McGregor was offering patrons shots of his proper, 12 Irish whiskey brand.
Right.
When one man declined the offer,
Okay.
McGregor allegedly punched him in the face.
It's hard to believe that he would resort to violence over something as trivial as refusing a drink.
It certainly raises concerns about his temperament and impulse control.
It does.
He pleaded guilty to assault for this incident and paid a fine.
Okay.
But yet again, avoided any jail time.
It's a frustrating pattern to observe.
Yeah.
It seems like he continually escapes any sort of serious consequences for his actions.
It's important to remember that the legal system has its own procedures and considerations.
Right.
Plea deals, for example, can be a way to resolve cases efficiently and avoid the uncertainties of a trial.
But it can also leave this impression that there are different standards of justice for those with wealth and influence.
That's a very legitimate concern.
Yeah.
And it's a debate that extends far beyond this particular case. It speaks to those broader issues of equity and fairness within the legal system as a whole.
It's clear from the sources that the incidents we've discussed are just a part of a much larger story here.
They are.
There are allegations stemming from incidents in Corsica and Ibiza that we need to examine as well?
You're right. These incidents, along with his history of driving offenses,
Yeah.
just add to this complex tapestry of Conor McGregor's life outside of the octagon.
Let's take a closer look at those incidents
Okay.
and see what we can learn.
All right, let's delve into those next.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground already, examining these various incidents from the sources that you've provided.
We have.
But it feels like there's still a few pieces of this puzzle that we haven't quite explored yet.
Yeah, your sources actually include information on 2 additional incidents
Okay.
that are still kind of unfolding, one in Corsica in 2020 and another in Ibiza in 2022.
Okay, let's start with the Corsica incident.
Okay.
It seems this one involves allegations of indecent exposure and sexual assault.
It does.
What are the details?
Well, in September 2020, McGregor was detained by authorities in Corsica following accusations of indecent exposure and sexual assault.
Uh-huh.
The details are a little bit murky,
Okay.
but the allegations stem from an incident at a bar.
Okay, and what was the outcome of this investigation?
Well, charges were never actually filed in this case.
Okay.
McGregor vehemently denied any wrongdoing,
Yeah.
and his spokesperson claimed that DNA evidence cleared him of the accusations.
So while the accusations were serious, they never led to any formal legal proceeding.
That's right. But the incident still added to the growing list of controversies surrounding McGregor.
For sure.
It raised questions about his behavior and fueled speculation about whether he was truly being held accountable for his actions.
Right. Okay, and what about the Ibiza incident?
Oh,
This one's even more recent, right?
Yes, this incident occurred in July of 2022 aboard McGregor's yacht in Ibiza.
Okay.
A woman accused him of assault, and an investigation was launched by Spanish authorities.
Do we know any specifics about the nature of the alleged assault?
The details are very limited, and the investigation is still ongoing.
Okay.
But reports suggest that the woman claims McGregor kicked her, punched her in the stomach, and threatened to drown her.
Wow, those are incredibly serious accusations.
They are.
Has McGregor responded to these allegations at all?
His representatives have denied the accusations, characterizing them as false and defamatory.
Okay.
But the investigation is still pending, so we'll have to just wait and see what conclusions the authorities reach.
So it seems like even as we're piecing together this timeline,
Yeah.
there are still chapters being written.
Exactly. These ongoing investigations demonstrate that McGregor's legal troubles are far from over.
And it's not just allegations of assault that we need to consider.
Right.
Your sources also mention a history of driving offenses.
Yes.
It seems like this recurring theme.
Yeah.
This disregard for rules and regulations.
Yeah, McGregor has a really lengthy record of driving violations.
He does.
He's been convicted of speeding on multiple occasions
Okay.
and has even had his driving privileges revoked for a period of time.
So it's not just isolated incidents.
No,
It suggests a pattern of reckless behavior, doesn't it?
it really does. In 2023, he was arrested on 6 traffic charges,
Wow.
including driving without insurance and a license.
Okay.
His car was impounded, and he was later charged with careless driving.
Wow, that's quite a rap sheet. What happened with that case?
Well, as of late 2023, the case was still ongoing.
Okay.
Proceedings have been adjourned until later this year.
Okay.
So we'll have to wait and see what the outcome will be.
Well, it seems like we've reached the end of this deep dive, and I have to admit, it's been a bit of a whirlwind.
It had.
We've uncovered a lot of information about Conor McGregor,
Yeah.
from his incredible success in the UFC to his numerous legal troubles and allegations of assault.
Complicated.
It's a complicated picture, to say the least.
It is. We've gone through this vast amount of information from the sources you provided, aiming for a clear and impartial view of Conor McGregor's journey.
For sure.
And I think it's safe to say that his life outside the octagon has been as tumultuous as his career inside it.
It has. It's been fascinating,
Right.
but also a bit unsettling, to be honest with you.
I understand.
I think the biggest takeaway for me is that McGregor's immense talent and success
Yeah.
are undeniably overshadowed by this recurring pattern of troubling behavior.
Yeah. It really begs the question,
It does.
can we or should we separate the artist from the art?
That's a question that each individual is going to have to grapple with on their own.
It is.
There's no easy answer,
Roll.
but it's a conversation worth having.
Absolutely.
It's about accountability.
Yes.
It's about the impact that our actions have on others
That's right.
and how we navigate the complexities of fame and its consequences.
You've hit the nail on the head. It's about so much more than just Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
It's a reflection of our society,
Yeah.
our values, the challenges that we face when dealing with individuals who hold positions of power and influence.
Absolutely.
It's a complex issue with no easy answers, but hopefully this deep dive has provided you with some valuable insights.
It has.
And some food for thought.
Well said. And that is all the time we have for today's deep dive.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us on this exploration of Conor McGregor's complex world.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll be back soon with another fascinating deep dive into a topic you're curious about.
I'm looking forward to it.
Until then, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep asking those tough questions.